It started on an ordinary Thursday, the kind that feels like filler between bigger moments. Rain against the window, a lukewarm cup of tea, and my sister Emily yelling from the living room. "She's staying the weekend, okay? Try not to act weird." I didn't even look up from my book. I'm never weird. "You are literally the definition of weird," she said, laughing, before heading out to pick up Maya from the train station. Maya. Even the name had a soft wheat to it. She'd been part of our family orbit for years. Emily's college roommate, then her best friend, then this constant presence that never really left. When we were younger, she'd visit during holidays, always bringing something small for me. A journal, a bracelet, once even a record from a thrift shop because she said it felt like my kind of sadness. I was 17 then. Now I was 22, and the way I saw her had changed completely. The door opened an hour later. I heard the laughter before I saw her, that low, warm sound that made you feel like she'd seen a side of the world you hadn't. When I turned, there she was, shaking off her umbrella, hair damp and curling at the ends. "Claire," she said, smiling, her voice soft like it had been designed to say my name slowly. "Look at you. You grew up." I felt my face go hot. "So did you." She laughed. "Not sure that's true." Her eyes were tired but kind, the kind of blue-gray that looked like they'd memorized too many rainy mornings. She smelled faintly of bergamot and wet wool. My heart did something strange, not exactly racing, but tightening, like a thread pulled taut. Emily, oblivious as ever, flopped onto the couch. "Okay, Maya, you take my room. I'll crash on the sofa tonight." "No way," Maya protested. "You know I hate kicking you out of your bed." "Claire doesn't mind sharing, do you?" Emily grinned at me like she'd made the world's funniest joke. I froze. Maya looked at me, that quiet, unreadable smile hovering at her lips. "I don't mind," she said, finally, "if she's okay with it." "Yeah," I managed to say, trying to sound casual. "It's fine." That night, I couldn't sleep. The sound of the rain had softened to a whisper outside. Maya was on the other side of my bed, facing the window, her breathing slow and steady. I should have been asleep hours ago, but my brain kept replaying every detail of the evening. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she talked, how she'd laughed at one of my bad jokes during dinner, and how our hands had brushed when she passed me the salt. It was nothing. It had to be nothing. She was my sister's best friend, older, smarter, beautifully out of reach. But there was something about the way she'd looked at me tonight, a second too long, a silence too full, that made me think maybe I wasn't imagining it. I turned over carefully. Her back was to me, the faint glow from the streetlights tracing the line of her shoulder, the curve of her neck. My chest felt tight again, the kind of ache you can't explain. I whispered into the dark, mostly to myself. "I missed you when you stopped visiting." She didn't answer. Not for a long moment. Then quietly, "I missed you too, Claire." The next morning, Emily was out early for a meeting, and it was just us. Maya made coffee like she had lived here all her life, barefoot, humming softly, her hair still a mess from sleep. "Morning," I said, leaning against the counter. "Morning, sleepyhead. You always read before breakfast?" "Always," I said. "It's like caffeine, but quieter." "That's such a you thing to say," she said, laughing softly. "You're still writing?" I nodded. "A little, mostly short stuff, essays. I haven't shown anyone." "You should," she said, her tone suddenly serious. "Your words, they always felt like they came from somewhere older than you." The compliment sat between us like steam off the mugs, warm, fragile, a little dangerous. The rest of the day moved lazily, errands, small talk, a shared umbrella walk to the corner store. But that evening, when Emily went out for drinks with coworkers, everything changed again. We were sitting on the couch, an old movie playing on low volume, the kind of black and white film Maya loved, where people said everything without saying it. She was close, so close that her perfume blurred into the air between us. My knee brushed hers once, twice. She didn't move away. "Do you ever think about the things you don't say?" I asked suddenly, not sure where it came from. Her eyes found mine, all the time. We sat like that for what felt like forever, neither of us looking away, neither of us brave enough to move closer. Then she smiled, but it wasn't happy. It was sad, almost resigned. "Your sister would kill me if she knew what I was thinking right now." My pulse jumped. "What are you thinking?" But she just laughed softly, stood up, and said that it's late. You should sleep. And as she walked down the hall toward my room, I couldn't help but think she wasn't running from me, she was running from herself. That night, I lay awake again, listening to the rain. Her words echoed like a heartbeat in my head. If she knew what I was thinking right now. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew something had shifted, something neither of us could take back. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to. It had been 5 years since that summer, since the night I found her gone, and the world seemed to tilt slightly off its axis. I'd built a new life, or at least a version of one that looked convincing enough from the outside. New city, new job, new habits. But sometimes when I passed a cafe window fogged by rain, or heard a song that lingered like memory, I'd still think of her. Maya, with her half smile and quiet storms. I told myself it was all in the past, that what happened was just a fragment of youth, something too fragile to survive the weight of real life. But love, the kind that changes you, never really goes away. It just waits, patient and invisible, like light under dust. I was 27 when I saw her again. It was late autumn in the city, the kind of evening where the air bites a little and everyone walks faster just to stay warm. I'd ducked into a small bookstore after work, the kind that still smelled like paper and ink and old wood. And there she was, standing by the poetry shelf, hair a little shorter now, a soft gray scarf around her neck. She looked almost the same, older maybe, but still utterly her. For a second, I thought I was imagining it. Then she looked up. Our eyes met. Time didn't slow down like in movies. It just stilled. "Claire?" she whispered. "Maya." Her name felt strange and familiar all at once, like a song I used to know by heart. We went to the cafe next door, quiet, dimly lit, still carrying the smell of cinnamon and rain-soaked coats. She stirred her tea nervously. I kept staring at her hands, the same ones that had once trembled when they touched my face. "I didn't think I'd ever see you again," I said finally. "I didn't think you'd want to," she admitted. "I wanted to. I just didn't know how." She nodded, eyes fixed on the cup between us. "She left because I thought I was protecting you." "From what?" "From me. From what we were becoming. From your sister finding out." I panicked. I smiled faintly. "You broke my heart, you know?" Her eyes lifted to mine. "I know. I broke mine too." For a while, we just sat there. No music, no chatter, just the quiet hum of what was left unsaid. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out something folded and worn, my handwriting staring back at me. It was the poem, the one I'd left half-finished in my journal years ago. Maybe one day. She said, "I kept it. You left it inside a book when you lent it to Emily. She gave it to me after you moved out." My chest tightened. "You still have it?" She said, "I read it whenever I missed you," which was often. I didn't realize I was crying until she reached out and wiped the tear from my cheek. The touch was the same. Gentle, reverent, and devastatingly familiar. We walked along the river after that, the same river that ran behind my old apartment. The city glowed around us, gold and blue and alive. She told me she'd left town after that summer, moved to London for a while, started teaching art again. She was married for a year,
To a woman, she said quietly, but it hadn't lasted. I think I was still in love with someone else, she confessed. I laughed softly. Don't tell me who. I think I know. She smiled, that same small, painful smile that had haunted me for years. You always did. We ended up sitting on a bench overlooking the water. The air was cold enough to see our breath. Do you ever think that how things might have been different if you hadn't left? She exhaled slowly. All the time. But maybe we needed that distance. Maybe that's how we survived it. I wanted to disagree, to tell her that I would have fought for her, that I'd still choose her, even now. But the truth was, life had moved us forward in separate directions, and sometimes that's all love can do. Live in the memory of what almost was. She reached for my hand then, and I let her. It wasn't romantic this time. It was something deeper. A quiet acknowledgement of everything we lost and everything we'd kept. Do you ever write anymore? She asked. I said all the time, mostly about you. That made her laugh. Still the same Claire. I replied, still the same Maya. We sat there, hand in hand, watching the city lights ripple on the water. Somewhere nearby, a street musician was playing an old jazz tune, soft and low. It felt like the end of something, but also, in a strange way, like peace. Before we said goodbye, she leaned in and kissed my cheek. Not out of longing, but gratitude. The kind of kiss that closes a circle. Thank you, she whispered, for remembering me kindly. I wanted to say more, but my throat wouldn't let me, so I just nodded, tears stinging my eyes, and whispered, always. She smiled and turned, and walked away, her silhouette fading into the blur of passing headlights. For a moment, I stood there, watching her go, feeling that familiar ache return, but it didn't hurt like before. This time, it felt gentle, because I knew something now that I didn't know at 22. Some loves aren't meant to last forever, but they don't have to disappear to be real. Some people stay with you in the quietest ways, and sometimes that's enough.
The morning after felt different. Not in a big cinematic way. No storm clouds or thunder or sudden music swelling. Just a strange stillness, like the air was holding its breath. Maya didn't say much over breakfast. Neither did I. Emily chatted on about her work drama while Maya just nodded, stirring her coffee long after the sugar had dissolved. When Emily finally left for her office, the silence that followed was almost too loud. Maya leaned against the counter, mug in her hands, and said softly, "Claire, we need to talk." Those words, the classic warning before everything changes. I followed her into the living room, my heartbeat a little uneven. She sat at the edge of the couch, elbows on her knees, eyes on the floor. "You remember what I said last night?" she asked quietly. I nodded. "About my sister killing you?" That earned a faint laugh. "Yeah, that." Then she looked up at me, and there it was again. That same expression she wore when the movie light had flickered across her face. Sad, tender, and real. "I shouldn't have said it," she said, "but I can't stop thinking about it either." I waited, the air between us electric. "Claire," she continued, "you're Emily's little sister. You were a kid when I met you, but last night, when you looked at me like that, I realized you're not anymore. And I don't know what to do with that. My throat went dry. You don't have to do anything. She shook her head. That's the problem. I want to. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The sound of rain, again, always rain, filled the silence. I took a step forward, then another. When I sat beside her, she didn't move away. Her hand was resting on her knee. And, without thinking, I reached out. My fingers brushed hers. She didn't pull back. The world seemed to narrow to that single point of contact. I've thought about you, I said quietly, the words barely escaping my lips. You shouldn't have. I couldn't help it. She turned to me then, eyes shining in a way that broke something open in my chest. Claire, this can't... But her voice caught, and before she could finish, I leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't a perfect kiss. It was shaky and uncertain and a little desperate. Like both of us had been waiting years to exhale. She froze at first, her breath catching against my mouth. Then slowly, her hand came up to the back of my neck, pulling me closer. For a few impossible seconds, the world felt suspended. No rules, no lines. Just her. When she finally pulled away, her forehead rested against mine. Her voice was a whisper. God, Claire, I shouldn't have let that happen. But you did, I murmured. She smiled. Sad, small, beautiful. Yeah, I did. The hours after blurred together. Coffee gone cold, nervous laughter, too many glances that said everything words couldn't. When Emily returned that evening, the apartment looked the same, but we didn't. Maya wouldn't meet my eyes. I tried to act normal, but every time she walked past me, the air felt heavier. Later that night, I found her sitting on the balcony, legs pulled up to her chest, staring out at the city lights. I keep thinking I should leave, that it would make things easier. Would it? She didn't answer. She just reached for the cigarette beside her, lighting it with a trembling hand. The smoke curled up between us, thin and silver. I've spent my whole life running from the wrong kind of love, the kind that feels too real to survive. And what if it's the right kind? I asked softly. She turned to me, eyes glistening under the faint streetlight glow. Then it's even scarier. That night, she didn't sleep in my room. She stayed on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, pretending to be fine. But sometime past midnight, I woke up, and before I could stop myself, I walked down the hall and stood at the edge of the living room. She was awake too, staring at the ceiling. "Can't sleep?" I whispered. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Neither can you." I hesitated, then sat beside her. For a long time, we just sat in silence, our shoulders barely touching, the distance between us thin as air. Then she whispered, "If your sister finds out..." "She won't," I said. She sighed. "You say that like you believe it." "I do." She turned to look at me. Her face was so close I could see the tiny freckles under her eyes, the curve of her lips. I thought she'd push me away again. Instead, she reached up and touched my face. It wasn't a kiss this time. just her fingers tracing my jaw, soft and aching. "Claire," she whispered, "if this ends badly, promise me you'll still write about it. Don't let it become just a secret." I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. "I promise." She smiled, tired, sad, beautiful. "Then maybe it'll mean something." We fell asleep like that, her head against my shoulder, the city humming softly below. For a few hours, it felt like the world had stopped trying to pull us apart, like love could actually stay if only we asked it to. But morning has a way of reminding you that it can't. Because when I woke up, Maya was gone. Her bag, her jacket, even her scent. All of it vanished, like a dream I couldn't hold on to. Only a note on the kitchen table remained. "Claire, I'm sorry. You deserve a love that isn't afraid of being seen. Don't look for me, but don't forget me either. M." I read it 3 times before I started to cry. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet tears that felt like they'd been waiting for years. I folded the note and kept it in my journal, next to the poem I'd written about her months ago. The title hadn't aged well. Maybe one day. That was the last time I saw her. Or so I thought.